Hey everyone, Julian here, and today I'm super excited to be showing you a video that a lot of you guys have requested, which is how to make fast, hard, trancey, rave techno like Viper Diva. We're going to be diving in to the style like you hear in Born to be Slytherin, and I'm pretty sure this is the only tutorial on YouTube that really goes in on the style as well. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. It's a really great way to support me if you guys are enjoying these videos as well. And yeah, let's dive in. Cool, so here's the project file. We're at 144 BPM. It's a bit faster, but this is really integral to the sound. I think if you if you try to slow this down a bit, like let's just go to like 132. You know, it sounds cool, but it doesn't have that same level of intensity as you get at 144. And yeah, so the first thing we got here is the rumble kick, which sounds like this. So this is main with just two layers. We have our main kick, and then we have our rumble, which is actually that exact same kick sample you can see here, but then we're bringing it into this, so it's playing 16th notes. And then I have a low pass filter on it. So that's what makes it just the rumble, because you're getting just the low end. And then I have it being sidechained to that main kick. And then these are in a group together with a few things processing it. So here's without any processing. And then with it. So you hear the difference there. And why we have all this stuff. So the first thing is actually a bit of compression. I don't usually do this with kicks, but with this style, if you listen to these tracks, these kicks, they have just like a very even rumble. Like the rumble is just very, it's not flat necessarily, but it's very like full sounding and very, like I want to say compressed, but it's not like over compressed. So that's what this compressor is doing here, is it just helps to kind of make it a little bit flatter and a bit more of like a like that. So if I turn off the compressor and then turn it on again without it, and then with it, you know, it's just a subtle bit of compression to kind of tie the whole thing together and sort of even it out a bit. And then there's just a bit of saturation, which you can see we got the drive up there, and then that bass frequency is turned down. That helps keep it from getting too crunchy. And then we just have a low end boost. And yeah, then that's it for the rumble kick. Then we have our lead, which sounds like this. So yeah, this is the melody. I was trying to make a very Born to be Slytherin-esque melody. So you can see what's happening here is we're in the key of C minor, actually. And then we're just kind of, it's just stuff that's in that key. Like you can see, you know, it goes from C down to the minor 7th, which would be A sharp. Then we have G here, which is the 5th of C, and then this G sharp. That's just one note up from the 5th. Then we have D sharp, which is the minor 3rd there. And yeah, so again, like it's all stuff that you can find in the C minor scale. Nothing really too crazy there. It just comes down to like the way you're using it. Like here, for example, just hanging on this note. And then doing that. And then also just how that fits with like. You know how that's fitting with the other stuff musically in the track. For the sound, this is made with wavetable, so it's a pretty standard sort of like super saw sound with a little bit of a twist. So what's happening here, as you can see, yeah, it's two saw waves at the same octave here, and then those are going into a low pass filter. And then you can see, if you look at the matrix here, you can see we have the amp envelope on the low pass filter, so you can see that just makes it pluck like that. And then I also have an envelope on the pitch. You can see this really fast one. And that's what's creating that, like, sort of clickiness. I turn that off. So that line was without it. You see how it's a lot softer than when you turn it on? It just makes it a bit more punchy, which works well for these kinds of leads. And then the twist here is this unison. You can see I have it on the noise setting. And we have the voices up all the way. The amount's up quite a bit. And I actually believe that they use this, like, wavetable with the unison on the noise setting in Born to be Slytherin, because it has that very kind of, like, sort of old school trancey feel. If I put this on, like, the regular setting, you can see you just don't get that same thing. So that's what we have there. And then we have a bit of echo and reverb. You know, this sound has a ton of space, and it really rings out a lot, because you want it to really be like, you know, kind of playing over top of everything, even when it stops playing. So that's what those are doing. And then finally, we just have this drum bus, which you can hear is just making it really fat and really full sounding. And yeah, then we have the bass line. So again, just all notes in the C minor scale. We're starting on C. We have this A sharp, which is the minor 7th. This G sharp, which is, if you look, it's just one note up from G, which is the 5th. And then we have another G as well, which is the actual 5th. So yeah, simple bass line. It's just like, you know, kind of following with the lead. And you'll notice, like, when the bass line hits, it's always playing the same note as the lead. Like, if we have here, for example, that C, that's the same note the lead is playing. And then when it switches right there, we go to A sharp, same note that the lead is playing. And then if you go over here, so it's playing that G sharp, which is again the same thing that the lead is playing. And then when it switches here, it goes to G, same note as the lead. So it's about how these two are kind of like sort of going away from each other and then coming together on each chord change. Because if you try to make these two messy, even if it's all notes that are in the same key, if they're not just playing the same note at the same time, it's going to be really disjointed and weird. But if you do it this way, I think it kind of keeps it, you know, a bit cleaner and fitting better with everything else musically. Now, the sound for this one is actually made in a pretty simple way, so it's just a simple respace sound. So we just have two saw waves detuned inside of analog here, and then those are going into a low-pass filter with a bit of resonance to give it some tone, the amp envelopes like that, and then we just have a bit of unison to make it a bit bigger. Then, speaking of making it bigger, we have this drum bus, and then we have an auto filter. So you might be asking yourself, why are you high passing it here if you're already high passing it here? I'll show you. So if you look on the spectrum here, see how you can see that big bass wave kind of coming through? If I turn on this high pass, it just kind of cuts that a little bit. And this is just really to make it fit with the kick, so that they're not clashing too much. You know, it's kind of like, the secret is like getting this bass to fit with a rumble kick. And it's just all about the high passing. Then we have this auto pan, which you can see I've got the phase down to 0 on that. So that's just kind of simulating this being sidechained to the kick without actually sidechaining it to the whole rumble and everything like that. And then finally we just have another EQ to cut out the low end a little bit more and really make some room there for the kick and the rumble. And that is it for the bass. Then we have the percussion. So there's quite a bit going on with the percussion here. Something I'll say right off the bat is like, when you hear it all together, it's super crunchy. It's super like textured. And a big part of that is really just like how everything is coming together inside of this group here. Like just the fact that we're processing it all together as one thing is going a long way for this. So I'm just going to break it down layer by layer. The first thing is this like crunchy shaker. So this is a loop I think I made a while ago actually, and then it's just like some percussion being saturated a lot. And I had this in there just to give it, you know, a bit of some crunchy kind of high-end texture. You're just having that like super high frequencies in there, goes a long way. Then speaking of super high frequencies, we have the ride. And so this is your sort of, you know, stereotypical techno ride. It's just a 909 ride sample doing that kind of where it's like quieter and then louder, like. And then it's just going through some drum bus and a bit of EQ to cut out the low one and kind of boost the highs a little. Then we have this old school loop. So this is super like old school, hard trancey, you know. This is one of those things that you just can't recreate. Like you just can't quite like really make this without just kind of using a loop of it, you know. Because it's all about all that texture you're getting in there and all that like while there's like noise happening underneath it and like so much movement that you just really only get from a loop. And so I just have that in there. This is really popular in this style of techno too. A lot of people are using these right now. Which if you want this one, link is at the top of the description. And then that's just going through some drum bus to make it a bit stronger. Then we have the clap. So here's the original clap. It's just this nice punchy clap. And then I'm putting it through some overdrive. And yeah, and then this EQ here just kind of exists to boost and cut certain things based on like what's going to sound good. So here's without this. And then with it, you can hear it's just kind of focusing it more in the mid-range, cutting out some of those sharp highs. Then we have what I call down here the secret loop. So the reason why I call this a secret loop is because these elements are really just in the background. Like they're really just there to boost things that are already happening in here. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you listen, like we have these two, which should be giving us plenty of like percussion. However, if you listen, when we add in this 909 hi-hat, it just kind of supplements that a little bit more and gives it a bit more punch and fatness. And then it's kind of the same thing like with this rim shot and this little snare down here. Because if you listen to this rave loop, there's like that, like at the end of every quarter note, there's something right there that's hitting. You can see it in the waveform. Like a. So then these rim shots and the snare just boost that. And then the last thing here, the noise shot. Just kind of goes with the clap. You know, it just gives it something that's like. So every time you hear that clap, it's a little bit rising and it's a little bit more kind of like building. And yeah, so again, this is just called the secret loop because it just kind of adds a lot of extra stuff to supplement and complement what's already happening with the percussion. And yeah, I really recommend adding something like this. Like, you don't want to just have this stuff without this, because listen to how much better it sounds when I bring it in. Here's without the secret loop. And then with it. So you can hear that that's making a big difference there. And again, it's about how all this percussion's coming together. Then the last percussion layer we have is just the open hi-hat. And so this is a really standard techno sound, you know, just a big fat open hi-hat like this. And yeah, and then I just have a bit of percussion processing, because again, you want all of this stuff to be processed kind of as one at the end to really tie it all together. So here's without anything. It's actually a bit louder without the processing. Put that with it. So yeah, this drum bass just gives everything a bit more texture and really kind of crunches it together. It's also being compressed just a little bit through that. And then we just have the EQ8, which is cutting out the low end and boosting the highs a little bit. And yeah, and then that is really it for the percussion. So that's really going to be the most complemented section with this, or the most complicated section, excuse me, with this style, because it's just going to be so much stuff that's going to come together to really make the whole like big picture feel full. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI, presets, everything like that from this video is available right at the top of the description. It's a really great way to support me, guys. If you're enjoying these videos and you want more unique tutorials like this that don't exist anywhere on YouTube, definitely go pick up the samples so you can get everything from this video and follow along. And it also really helps and supports me a ton. And yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.